Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about how I use the internet. I previously wanted to make this video about AI, but it's not really fun to talk about AI. There are a lot of issues with that technology, sure, but it's not just that. It's this overly focused on AI approach that I feel is just depressing overall and not really a good way to look at things. Because the internet is not just a chat box that you enter something in and you get a result. The internet is a lot more than that. Now, I do sometimes go on AI platforms in order to search for information about something, to do a little bit of research, do a little bit of troubleshooting, like tech troubleshooting and things like that. For example, I used AI to find how to make it so that audio doesn't echo when I'm recording my voiceover in Adobe Premiere. And yes, I am using Adobe Premiere instead of DaVinci Resolve or whatever other tool people recommend because because I decided to start like using Adobe stuff again because it's just like a lot more powerful in what it can do. It's a lot better in what it can do than whatever alternatives that I was using. And I have been using a lot of alternatives. My previous video that I uploaded was made in DaVinci Resolve. Um a lot of the thumbnails and things like that were previously made with non-Adobe tools, from Inkscape and GIMP all the way to uh, even like Canva and various tools, even something like Affinity, which is now this free tool. It is what I mean. There are things to like about Affinity nowadays, like how it is available for free unless you're like a fan of the AI features, or how it saves everything in one format so that you can edit all the vector graphics and the image itself in one file, kind of like, and you can like choose whether to export it as a vector image or as just a regular pixel image, raster image, whatever you call it. Um, so it's just like a different workflow, unlike say with Adobe software, where the software can interact with one another, so you can have different types of projects embedded into each other, but there's no one unified file format, unlike with the new Affinity. So yeah, there are a lot of different alternatives to Adobe software, but at the end of it all, Adobe software is the most powerful software out there. Um, it allows a lot of different things, allows you to do so many different things. And if you ever go on social media, you probably see, like even on YouTube, you see a lot of short videos now about essentially Adobe tutorials, uh, where like it shows you how a lot of people do a specific thing incorrectly, and then it shows you how to do it correctly in Photoshop. This is why I think Photoshop, for example, is such a powerful tool. Um, Again, if you don't need something like Photoshop, if you don't want to use it, that's okay. I'm not saying that you should be using Photoshop or should be using Adobe products. I know that they can be expensive and, there's some anti-consumer choices and various things like that. But Adobe tools are just so incredibly powerful. Like, they work really well if you have the resources, if you have um, the computer that can, like, handle this type of stuff. I recently bought 32 gigabytes of RAM. And, yeah, it did cost a lot of money, but at the end of it all, it is very much worth it. Because not only can you run local AI models better on your computer, like run actual good like chatbots without going on websites, without sending all of your information over to these websites. But you can also have like you can also work better with different software without it causing your computer to kind of throttle itself when it goes close to like 100 or close to 90%. Like right now, uh, I'm only using like 56% of RAM. Um, like I'm using already more than 16 gigabytes of RAM with Firefox running and with Premiere running and with some other software running in the background, um, which I need to be running in the background. Now, how does it all connect to AI? Now, I could make a video just talking about AI, but it wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't be nice to make. I tried making a video just about AI, but it's just not fun to make a video about this thing. Like you go to a website or to a LM Studio or whatever tool you use for like AI, and you ask it a question, and that's it. Like you maybe like you ask follow-up questions, maybe like you upload things and then it converts it to something else, or it just takes information from it. Like uh, I don't have a lot to say about AI tools because a lot has already been said, of course, but also because just on its own, it's just such a boring like thing. On its own, is such a boring thing. But when I kind of like using it as an auxiliary thing, when it's like together with everything else that I am doing, right? Together with like trying to understand how I can improve as an artist, or how how to make better and more engaging videos on YouTube, or how to understand myself, or how to pick topics to talk about. Like, it can be a tool, but at the end of it all, it's your brain that helps you really decide what to talk about. And I think that this is something that's like a better, it's better than to just focus on AI just alone on its own. To focus on how your brain interacts with the world, I think, right? With including with this technology. I could babble on about the differences between ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Grok, and how Perplexity gives you more accurate answers than a lot of these other tools. How Gemini is like really, like, because it uses Google search, how it's like really good at searching for information. And at the same time, there's a lot of hallucination and weird stuff, and I could like point to like subreddits like Dumb AI, which is like a subreddit where it shows like examples of things like the Google search overview being dumb. I could do that type of thing. Do I want to do that type of thing necessarily? Not really, because it's just boring. It just puts you in the box. I don't like to do that. And that shows how that shows the difference, right? That shows the difference between someone who would just like make a video about like one specific thing and not really drift off into anything else, um, and someone like myself who is autistic, who has some semblance of ADHD, even though like not really diagnosed. But I do take medicine for ADHD now, which is great, and it's been maybe having some side effects, but overall has been helping me a lot over the course of these past few days. Now, ever since ChatGPT and other similar tools appeared, my internet habits have changed. Yeah, they have changed. I now can search for specific information or even just consult about something with one of these large language models and it'll give me some type of answer. Do I fully trust it? No, of course, I don't fully trust everything it says. Uh, I try to double check whenever I can, um, and it can make it kind of useless to even use these tools sometimes because like if you have the opportunity to just use a search engine, you can just use a search engine. But again, the fun in actually using these AI tools is that they just point you to the direction that they just point you to the right direction. um, a lot of times, of course, there will be cases where it's going to hallucinate, where it's going to not be that good. Um, and yeah, you need to be like careful with these tools. You need to be careful with them. But the fact that so many people like obsess over like, look at how like inaccurate this AI is, when like once you know how to use these models, you kind of like start to understand, right, that even if they are wrong, even if they are completely like, even if they like lie a lot about things, right, about like factual information, they can search the web to get more accurate information. They can reason, which means like they don't actually think. They're not like humans. They're not real like living creatures or whatever that think. But they can give you more accurate answers by kind of planning their answer, right? Um, Using this reasoning like model, right? And you can run that stuff on your computer. You can run that stuff on your computer. You don't have to, you don't need to have like a strong computer, but it is recommended to have 32 gigs of RAM for this type of stuff, um, because it allows you to run better models. It allows you to run models that are actually uh, relatively good at this type of thing, right? So yeah, I can like talk about that nonstop. I can talk about how these tools can be helpful, but it has to be like in the context of myself, in the context of the person that I am, and how I use computers, how I use the internet, how I gather information. Not in the context of I'm just talking about the AI tools because I like to use AI so much. It's not a fun video to make, even if I am not the most anti-AI person that there is. And I am kind of a fan of these AI tools. With all of the moral and ethical implications, with all of the issues, with all of the different problems that this AI stuff has, I'm still I'm still a fan of a lot of these tools because they kind of like give you answers, and if you use these tools correctly, they can give you accurate answers. If you pick the right tool for the right job, if you do your due diligence, if you don't just blindly trust everything that it says, uh, these tools are valuable, and they can actually give you right answers uh, and help you with things. Now let's talk a little bit about the recent Google I/O announcements, like the recent like Google, or even just like the way that Google is handling uh, this like AI future, because it seems to be like trying to like brand itself around this AI. And while many users are annoyed by it, many people don't like it, there's still like it is still one of the most actually usable AI tools. It's just that people don't like it because Google takes a lot of data from you, and mostly because of that, but also just because some people are annoyed at the fact that they're trying to like replace search with this AI. Now, I don't really use Google a lot for searching because, again, I kind of value my privacy and don't really want Google to be um, taking like Google to be like knowing about everything I search about. It's not. I don't really feel like safe about it, so I just use DuckDuckGo or other search engines. There's even a search engine called Kagi, which is like um, a premium search engine that costs a monthly subscription to use. Um, and it has no ads, and it has like none of the tracking. Uh, I have tried that one before, and it's a really good search engine. Um, and it also has like its own like private AI as well, because AI is like right now the tech industry is like embedding AI like as a tool. It is embedding AI as a tool. Um, inside of things that already exist. Hell, even Google is doing that. Um, and yeah, that's just how things are going right now. Whether you like it or not, it's just gonna be a part of that. Um, and there are reasons to like and dislike that shift towards more AI, but it's just not fun to just like focus overly on just the AI aspect, I think. Because if you really think about it, what Google prioritizes here in their new like search experience or whatever they're trying to do with embedding Gemini into search is the kind of like experience itself of searching. Like they want to like simplify it so much. They want to simplify it so much that you don't even have to go to individual websites. You don't really have to really do a lot of things. They're trying to make you do as less as possible to get as quickly as possible uh, to the results that you need, and it can hurt website owners and people who want to like get have their money from, well, mostly Google's own ads, because it is kind of hypocritical. Like Google's ad system is embedded into so many websites, and yet Google's trying to make people go less to websites and more to just use AI to get to the results um, that they want you to see. There's a lot to talk about with this. Um, but in the end, what's important, right? What's important is the accuracy, the reliability, um, and it's not great reliability. Like AI is not like the most reliable thing, but if you go and try to search something on search engines like Google, you do see a lot of spam. You do see a lot of content farms. Anyway, you see a lot of ads, and you just see a lot of like weird things. But now Google is trying to kind of pivot that experience to a more AI focused experience, or rather just an experience that's focused on giving you the answer as fast as possible, which can be both a good and a bad thing. And I do understand a lot of the criticism, but this whole culture of just hating on everything AI, I never really understood it completely. I do understand I do understand it on like an emotional level, kind of, kind of. But is it really practical to kind of to avoid all of this altogether, or is it more practical to carefully like examine and understand what's going on, rather than just trying to like avoid and trying to be like, no, I am gonna use the internet like AI never existed. It's a bit of an annoying mindset to me. I don't know why. It just feels kind of weird to me. I don't know. So basically, so basically, the internet is changing. A lot of stuff is changing. A lot of people don't like the ideas that AI kind of like proposes. A lot of people don't like the like kind of like more AI centric internet that we are going towards. Are we going towards a more AI centric internet? Well, it depends, right? If you really like trust every single company that does AI stuff, uh, if you really like trust uh, these companies, then yeah, we are going towards that type of future. But uh, there's not everyone is on board with this, uh, and a lot of people will continue to just create and uh, be independent and just think for themselves. A lot of people will try and avoid AI as much as possible, or just try to uh, use their brains instead of always relying on the answers that are given by these chatbots, because chatbots can also be very parasocial, and that causes a lot of harm. We have seen even we've even seen people lose lives because of this. Like we've even like this is like a serious thing, a serious mental health thing that is like affecting people, although it is a very small minority, so I think that the channels obsessing over these cases are like kind of hyperbolic about it, in my opinion. But yeah, you need to like look at this seriously, because this isn't just some new feature, new technology that's like just put out. Um, this is more than that. This is definitely like a serious advancement, uh, in a way that kind of speeds things up for a lot of people, but also removes a lot of independence, I guess. It removes that kind of desire to do things independently, to search for things independently, to study things um, to, on a kind of independent level without like the relying on these AI tools. So basically, these tools are helpful in context. Like when they're used in the right context, they can help a lot. But at the same time, we shouldn't like overly rely on these tools. We shouldn't overly rely on like machine learning, like algorithms, to tell us uh, the truth, because these are just machine learning algorithms. They just predict stuff. They just predict stuff, and we rely on them for serious things, heck, for even for like medical help and stuff like that. Instead of like going on like professional websites for doctors, we just go on these websites, um, uh, on these like ChatGPT and like Gemini, whatever, to search for this stuff. Uh, we should be careful with it. We should definitely be careful with that. Overall, this AI stuff is very exciting. It can be very scary. Uh, it is changing the way that the internet is working right now. It is definitely doing both a lot of harm, and also, in some ways, it's doing some good stuff. Like, it's speeding up a lot of coding workflows for a lot of people, right? Like people who are like programming stuff, they can now do things a lot faster with the help of these different like AI tools and stuff. So it can be helpful in certain cases. Heck, I use it for troubleshooting certain issues and um, searching up for specific information. Uh, and it can be very incorrect. It can be very wrong, but it also has been correct for me for a lot of different things. I guess if you look at it as a human, um, you kind of start to um, understand, right, that connection that you have with these systems, right? You start looking at things not from the perspective of just the topic of these AI chatbots, right? Just the topic of AI chatbots and LLMs and things like that. But you start to understand how uh, how it is relevant for you. What is the connection that you have to it? And I do have a connection to these tools. That connection is that they are tools, that they are nothing more than tools. But at the same time, they are in my mind. They are a thing that is in my mind that I can ask whatever question I want. And I think that this is a very dangerous part of it, because you can ask anything, practically anything with the you can and these models, they will uh, answer, especially if these are like uncensored models. And it's dangerous precisely because these are not real people. It's not a real person. You're developing a parasocial relationship uh this thing, with this AI. So yeah, AI is a part of my life now. and it might seem kind of cringe, it might seem bad, but at the same time, there are a lot of ways in which it is helpful. There are a lot of ways in which it's helpful. And yeah, I know it's not exactly AI. What it is just large language models. But at the end of it all, it really is about myself. It really is about how I understand this world, how I understand the world around me. I have been kind of researching myself and the way that my brain really works, the way that I think, the way that I feel, especially like with the new medication that I'm getting. Uh, it is a lot of like work that I've done over years of just a lot of uh, self-awareness, a lot of self-examination of like the of my thought process and yeah, as an autistic person, I have a lot of awareness of my thinking, the way that I think, the way that I um, feel as well. And there's a lot of self awareness there. And I hope that more of you uh, start understanding that uh, it's a very like valuable thing to have. It is a very valuable thing to have to just be able to uh, understand yourself and kind of be able to really um, analyze and be self aware. Now, I'm not saying that rumination all the time about yourself is like healthy and it should all be done in like moderation because it's not gonna help you if you're like too focused on yourself so much. It's just I don't know. Uh, you gotta like do it in like a moderate way. You gotta take breaks with this introspection, but you should be doing it. You should be doing introspection every now and then. It's gonna help you a lot. It's gonna help you understand who you are and what you want to do, including your relationship to AI, to these like LLMs and this new technology that has been exploding in popularity and that you have been using reluctantly or just using in a way uh, where uh, where it like affects your focus, your ability to focus, your ability to um, understand yourself, your ability just to even like research and do things. It impacts a lot of stuff. Um, so we gotta tread carefully in these waters. And AI has changed in some way the way that I understand information and understand the internet. In particular, like with these large language models, I now think of uh, over the response that the LLM would give me about a certain thing, even before I would think of the real answers sometimes. Uh, it's been affecting me, and it's going to affect you as well as you use it more. So you gotta be very careful with these tools, unless you're boycotting them entirely, and that is another thing that you can do, basically. Um, so yeah, that was my take um, on this new AI stuff. That was my take on this new AI stuff. It is both helpful and dangerous, and it's also just like a lot to take in. A lot to take in. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Um, it's a very long video, a lot of yapping, because I had a lot to say. And I'm very excited for what's going to come, but I'm also a little bit scared. I don't know. Um, I there are some mixed feelings in my heart about this stuff, right? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.